Tonight is going to get very strange. Well, at least that's my prediction. Because tonight I am breaking a 7-month alcohol fast. Well, I did break it the other day. I've had a glass of wine and a glass of beer or two, but I have not had any whiskey in over 7 months, and I do not know how my system is going to respond. Also, I have a particularly nice drop here, courtesy of Pat Mesiti, who sent this to me. It's from the Spirit Thief Distilling Co. It is a Tasmanian single malt whiskey. It is their French oak Grenache, and I think it should pair very, very well with tonight's cigar. But you don't need me to tell you about tonight's cigar because we have the cigar professor himself, Professor Damo, joining us. Damo, how are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing well. You know, in Christian circles, they have that expression, Jesus take the wheel. If this whiskey hits me really hard, we might need a bit of a Damo take the wheel.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, just saying. Just giving you fair warning. How are you?
I'm not doing too shabby. I must confess, though, I did make a boo-boo this week, or actually last week, when I was packing and shipping out orders, trying to be very fast and efficient. I was possibly a little bit too fast for my own good, and for 5 of our subscribers, I reached into the wrong box and gave them the hammer and sickle Toro instead of the hammer and sickle Churchill. I have tracked down 3 of the 5 people that I did that to, but there are 2 mystery people out there that I would ask, check your cigars. And the hammer and sickle Toro, if you look on, it's the St. Petersburg #1. If you look on the back, the sticker should say Toro if it's the Toro. So, yes, you were one of the people that I caught that I got it. But, yes.
It's about an inch in length, but you know what they say, it's what you do with it. But still, if you've got it, flaunt it. So if you'd have a little stick, you can get an upgrade from Professor Damo if you reach out. There you go.
Yep. So just there's 2 mystery people out there that I don't know who it is. So if those 2 people identify that they've got it, reach out to me and we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, speaking of little sticks, we are joined once again by our favorite whipping boy, the person we love to tease more than anyone else on the face of planet Earth. It is Professor Omar. Omar, how are you doing? Hello. Hello. Classic Omar.
Prof, I've heard you got some big news today.
I got some big news today. That I'm back on the terps. That's a low bar for big news?
That's as big as it could get for you.
It's as big as the news gets, is it? Well, it's been a slow news week in that case. All right, well, I'll talk more about my terps once I've actually had a taste of it. I'm led to believe it's very, very nice, but I've never had it. Damo, more relevant for the show, tell us a little bit about, we've had a warped before, but we've certainly not had this.
No, and the only reason we have this one is thanks to our viewer who is with us tonight, Dan Moore. He requested that we do another warped cigar, and I thought, well, why not? So I decided to grab this one. This one was grabbed for the main reason is that it was awarded a 95 out of 100 by Cigar Aficionado. Back in what year was it? Okay, hang on, I'm just having a look to see if I've actually got the year written down. No, I don't. I think it was about 2020-ish, I think, maybe about 5 years ago, something like that. Anyway, it's Warped Gran Reserva, 1988 Robusto. And the reason it is called 1988 is that the brand owner and the blender for this particular cigar, Kyle Gellis, that's his birth year. So, hence we've he's named it after the year of his birth, and it's a Nicaraguan Puro. So it will be an interesting smoke to have a Nicaraguan Puro. We haven't smoked a lot of Nicaraguan Puros. We did smoke one lot, the lot 23s, I believe, are a Puro from Perdomo. But yeah, the wrapper's a shade grown Jalapa Corojo. The filler is a Corojo 99 and Corojo 98. And yeah, it's all Nicaraguan binder and filler. So it
Damo,
will be.
I have an issue with my cigar blender being younger than me. That doesn't cigar blenders are supposed to be old, and I mean like ancient. I mean at least as old as Omar. I'm talking like crippled and 1 foot in the grave. You don't have enough life experience to blend a cigar until you can grow a beard like Omar's, surely.
Well, I dare say the proof will be in the smoking.
Straight off the bat.
That is a good light. Also, I'm a little bit concerned that you've done a good job of selecting the bad cigar for me, because I can see. I'm going to try and get the light to play off it. Can you kind of see how there's a straight line in the shadow there as it goes across? You probably can't see it. There is a stem of some sort sitting under the surface, literally from one end to the other. It's like they put a stick in there.
Look at that.
So we're going to have to see how this one burns.
Well, look, it's extra nicotine for you.
Well, it could be nicotine and alcohol. It's going to be an interesting night.
It's actually got a nice sweetness on the cold draw.
Yeah, we can see that, Omar. Yep.
It's got a tunnel straight off the bat.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks like a tunnel. Are we going to have some build quality issues tonight? Let's hope not.
I think it will settle itself down hopefully soon.
Okay.
Fingers
crossed for you, buddy.
He's out of practice. That's the problem.
He's only had 6 today. He's lost his touch.
That's it. Ooh. So I'm getting bakery, sort of almost like an almond bread, almond biscuit.
Oh. A little bit more gingerbread for me. A little bit more gingerbread, but that is gorgeous. That is a beautiful light up.
Maybe even a little bit chestnut-like. And a ring straight.
Right off the bat. That's when you know that's how you know you've lit it up nice and evenly, because you get the smoke all the way around. If it was only lit on one side, you'd just get half a ring. Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
There's definitely got some bakery in it. And I thought at the beginning, it was almost like a mild type of gingerbread.
Yeah. I got that.
Yeah, straight like a mild gingerbread. Very nice indeed.
It's actually quite sweeter and smoother on the retro than it is on the actual draw.
And the foot smoke is very nice too.
Yeah, that foot smoke's almost got I hate to say it, it's almost like a rose, like a floral rose in that foot smoke.
Dame, do you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Back in the day when we used to have that love affair of aftershaves, and I was not as big of a man as you are. I'm more like Topher, very like a softy, like a bitchy attitude back in the day. We used to share those aftershaves. I remember once you whipped that one up for me. Now, this is very, very light cedar and not patchouli, but you know that vibe of barbershop. That smell.
Yeah.
Barbershop. It's just that. It's gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
Vetiver, light vetiver, sweet vetiver. That's
Look,
it.
If you bottled this, you could sell it as a man's aftershave.
Yeah. So Topher, you were out.
Fine, we'll water it down a bit and have a boys version then.
Yeah, younger boy. Like a boy on the street, the backstreet boy kind of shit.
I keep telling you, why would I cover a face this beautiful with hair? It would be a crime.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. That's why they will kind of pay those secret visits in the dark shadow of the night.
Alrighty, boys, I'm going in. Spirit Thief Distilling Co. This was a gold medal winner from the New York World Wine and Spirits Competition.
That's
it is their single malt whiskey, French oak Grenache. So this is their whole shtick is a little bit like, I guess, the bourbon barrel aged tobaccos in last pack.
Yeah.
This is all about the matching of the wine barrels, in this case, a Grenache wine barrel, to the whiskey.
That's some serious shit right there.
Well, we'll soon see. Oh, yeah. What do we got? This is 48%, so it's cask strength.
In amongst that almond and biscuit notes, there's also a little bit of a licorice in there. A nice earthy licorice in there.
I think I fixed the tunnel in Dames. It's almost, yeah, it's coming along good.
It's like riding a bike. Once you're back on it, you know how to do it.
Yeah.
But add another ring in there.
What was that, like riding a dike?
Oh, man. We're going to kicked out after December.
What's happening in December?
You know the shit that you were talking about? The signing up, the digital ID and all that?
Okay, so an update on that. I don't think that's going to affect us at all. It's, in fact, I don't think most people will even know that it's come in. Now that we know a bit more about it, it's going to be heaps of lawsuits. It's going to be an absolute mess in the back end, but I think in the front end, most people are going to be largely unaffected. So I don't think it's going to affect us at all, actually.
Good news, bros. I'm happy for you.
Damn it. I was hoping for a replica of Nepal with all our youth actually growing a set.
Hey, our youth are bitches and doped out. They won't do nothing. Don't worry about that. They got it easy. It happens in a societies where there's ruggedness and resilience. So don't worry about that.
You two were both so still for a second there that I genuinely thought my internet had frozen. I looked at the screen. I'm like, oh man, I'm hardwired in and everything. I'm not using the Wi-Fi. I'm not nothing. You were both just super still. Tell you what, this is a beautiful flavor profile, and it's a nice pair with this particular whiskey too.
I tell you what, man. Cigars like wrapped, whopped, and whatever you want to call them. They just tell you that there's still a place for a lighter wrapper for a seasoned cigar smoke. They just remind you that don't you leave us alone. There is something still happening in this world.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate that.
I think that's the thing. There are different cultures that like different approaches to flavors. So take your Japanese culture. A lot of the flavors are relatively subtle, tend to be more fresh, and it's about the quality of the ingredients. Then at another end, you get your really hardcore chili fans that it doesn't matter. They just want it to be as hot and as in your face and bold as possible. And so there is that spectrum in the cigar world as well. And just because a flavor profile is a bit lighter and a bit milder, doesn't necessarily mean it's any less sophisticated. And you're right. The Warped brand, I think, is a great example of that. The Warped Cloud Hopper was the one that we had, and I think Tim Molesworth as well. He just loved them. He would have hoovered them all up if he could have.
what a stick that was. You know why I remember that stick?
Mm-hmm.
I had it while I was at my mate's sister's wedding. And I jumped in the car park. I said I had an emergency. I went to the car park.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, man. That was good. That was good. I was a little cigar. Thank God for that.
You got away with it.
I got away with it.
They're all over the other side of the world going, man, Omar said there was an emergency. Now I can smell something burning. What's wrong?
Yeah,
Is something on fire?
Oh, shit is on fire.
Dear.
He needed to go take his medication.
That's exactly right.
That's right. That's an affirmative. That is an affirmative. So, Professor Topher.
Oh, dear. I don't like the sound of this already.
Guy next to you on the screen.
Right.
So his wife's birthday. So I thought, I didn't get to, I don't celebrate birthdays, but he was whinging about it. He couldn't make it happen and blah, blah, blah. And there was issues. You always have like a 5 million things going wrong at the same time. Every fucking day.
It doesn't rain, but it pours.
Yeah. He came, he went somewhere, a demolition job or some shit. Comes back. I got my wife to cook 3 gorgeous chickens, right? And they were cooked to perfection. And this motherfucker polishes 1.5 chicken before it reaches his wife.
No, it was on the table. We were sharing it. I was just eating it a lot faster rate.
Sorry, Omar, I might have misheard. I just want to try and I'm going to feed back to you the story that you just told me because I want to make sure I haven't misunderstood. You found out that your good friend Damo was feeling down, and so you cheered him up with your wife and 3 hot chicks?
Yes. 3.
You know what, Damo? I'm suddenly feeling really depressed.
I thought you were born depressed, so you're going to be depressed for the rest of your life. So nothing new about that. Oh, did you see that ring?
That was a good one.
Around my glass.
He just needs to aim it a little bit higher so it's like straight to the camera.
Wow, just you want custom made to order rings now, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Was interestingly, what this cigar is bringing, I think, it's a very dominant cedar note. It has everything else. It has bakery. It has everything, but the dominance comes from the cedar. It's a very
beautiful sweetness in it.
Yeah,
like, this is
sweet
like it's been a while since I've had a cigar that's got this absolute sweetness that just keeps lingering, and each puff you're still getting that sweetness out of it.
Yeah.
I reckon Daniel might be batting for a 4th position of cigar professor on the show.
You reckon?
You
Why?
never
Because
know.
you keep ragging on me. Hey, David Lane-Armstrong's got a new place up in Newcastle. Congratulations, mate.
Well done.
Congrats.
Glad you're closer. I'll hopefully be able to get up and see you.
Boys, we got a question / dilemma to sort out. So December 6th falls on the 31st, I think.
It does.
Right. I will be in San France. Right. And the next day I'm catching a flight to New York. I'm cool with that. I'll make it happen. If I have to fucking do it at the airport, I will do it. That's no problems, right? But what's the availability like? Are we doing it? Like, should we do on a weekend, or what are you guys thinking?
Well, I guess we could throw it out to our viewers and see what our viewers' thoughts are. So
I'm
just to
taking
put that in
period
context,
off so I can fit in with you guys.
Wednesday the 31st is the last Wednesday of December. So that's New Year's Eve. I will be working that evening. It's like the busiest year for fireworks. So
what if we go to the weekend before?
So we could look at like Saturday the 27th.
Yeah.
Are you thinking Saturday?
Yeah.
I reckon that'll be good.
That's a great idea.
So it's after Christmas, but before New Year's on that dead weekend.
So when Christmas Day, Boxing Day, then Cigar Professor Day. I feel like that's a pretty good, that's a good couple of days.
That's a good couple of days.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
That sounds good. What? How does our viewers feel about doing that for December, making it Saturday the 27th?
Well, let us know in the comments.
Cruise.
We'll wait for a couple of comments to come through on that one.
Yeah.
I've discovered that some people end up watching on delay because when they start the show, they don't realize it started 2 minutes ago, and they start watching it from the start, and then they don't realize they're 2 minutes behind.
Yeah. Tony's in.
Dan's Hey Tony, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good to see you, Tony. Always a pleasure.
I'm glad you'll be with us as well, David.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Daniel just made comment that he's getting Turkish Delight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Turkish Delight's rose water, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was picking up the fragrance of rose in the foot smoke, so that definitely blends in.
That makes you and then both go. Yeah, that's cool.
So so that means you're both wrong. Good to know.
Topher, there's often, you come up with some pearls, and that's good, but I like it. They can be wrong often. That's all right.
I'm finding on every draw, the initial draw brings a nice sweetness onto the palate. And that retro is just absolutely gorgeous still. I don't normally retro a cigar very often, maybe just 2 or 3 times in the length of the cigar, but I reckon I've done it 2 or 3 times and I'm not even finished the first third.
Yeah.
So guess what the time is in San Fran right now?
Oh, dear. Well, hold up. No, hold up. I should be able to figure this out because when I get up in the morning, I get up at 6. It's only like 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon over there.
So it's 3 a.m.
on that coast. It's 3 a.m. now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Fuck.
You'll be right.
Stay awake. I have to stay awake smoking cigars.
When are you heading over?
23rd.
Okay, so you're going to be doing Christmas over there.
Yeah.
So are you going to be in San Fran that week?
Yeah, for sure. I might go to Yosemite on the 23rd, 4th, but not sure. Not 100% sure. My grandfather has a big farm, a lot of fruits, and so it'll be in the middle of -2 degrees.
Ooh. All right. Genuine question for you fellas. I'm making serious plans to be in the US for their 250th birthday, which is July 4th next year. Because my theory is that no matter where you are in the country, that is going to be a hell of a party, the like of which I'm unlikely to see again in my lifetime. The 250th birthday of the Declaration of Independence whilst Donald J. Trump is president. Don't mind if I do. Would either of you consider joining me?
I could probably work around that day if I probably can do like 3-4 days or something. But
okay.
What part of the US you're thinking?
Well, it depends on what invitations I can get. So I may be heading back to Mar-a-Lago at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I've been invited to an event there. Not sure if I'll commit to that yet. But the thought would be if I can, like, obviously the cool thing would be to be at Washington, D.C. for one of their big parades, or to be at Mar-a-Lago if I can swing that. So probably, and if I can't be in either of those places, I'm probably going to go hang out with the Appalachian podcast boys that I got absolutely hammered with when I met them in Washington, D.C. for the Students for Liberty conference when I went on their podcast, and they were an absolute hoot. Mr. Stu will join me. Excellent. So they made me a deal. They said to me, if I can get over there for a 4th of July, this is old school West Virginia. This is the old mining towns that have shut down. These are people that teach their kids how to shoot when they're 6 years old and blow things up for fun just on a regular Tuesday. And they said to me, forget all the official, impressive, structured fireworks that go on in the cities. You want a redneck 4th of July. Now, I wasn't able to make it so that was a year and a half ago. They gave me that invitation. I haven't been able to make it over there for either of the 4th of Julys since. But if I can't swing myself something like a Mar-a-Lago invitation, I'm thinking a redneck West Virginia 4th of July might go down real well.
Yeah. So
you never know, if you make the right impressions in Mar-a-Lago, you might be nominated to be ambassador to the US.
A brick would be a better ambassador.
Well, you've only got to be liked.
Yeah.
Even a brick would get liked.
Yeah, even just be not disliked. How hard is that?
That's right. Exactly.
So if I think it's a high probability. I just gotta work around a couple of things.
All right. Yeah, I got to figure it out because there's some business I want to do overseas as well. Just get some structuring set up. So I might roll that in as part of a trip across to 1 or 2 Caribbean islands. Get a few passport processes started and a bit of that sort of stuff as well. Do that on the trip, and that way it's tax deductible. Yeah, it's a business trip.
Business trip.
There you go. Here's some insider's advice. David says he was in the US this year for the 4th of July. It was a bit tame. Would make sense to join the party animals. Yeah, I think the 250 is going to be a little bit different, but it's kind of, what flavor do you want? Do you want the structured, organized parade with the marching band and the jet flyovers and everything else? Like that's cool in its own way, but also sitting on a hillside getting absolutely smashed with a bunch of West Virginia big boys blowing shit up for fun. Well, that's also cool in its own way too. So I don't know.
They'd be drinking moonshine too.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, these are the boys that made the term blind drunk a term. For those that don't know the reference, if you're making your own moonshine and you don't know how to separate the first bit and the last bit, you can make yourself blind with the wrong kinds of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Stu is in apparently.
Stu is in.
Dems, what about you?
Well, that's usually in the middle of my Disney tour, but I don't have the dates of what that's going to be. So depends where it's at and whether I can organise for someone else to fill my shoes to do that.
Very cool.
Now, can I just scroll back a bit? Because I realize I should have actually had more of a chat about this comment here from Dan Cruz. I found this channel from the Macanudo Gold Review. That's really cool, Dan. Really, really cool. Glad that you found us. Obviously, were you looking up the Macanudos specifically? I'm guessing you were, because the next comment was, I thought I was the only person who liked Macanudos. So I'm guessing, Dan, you're probably Googling it, looking around for reviews or whatever, and you found us, and now you've gone to the trouble of joining us. So that's really cool. Really, really good to have you.
Really cool. And Dan probably would not know that Damo got us the 1997 Maduros with a hard ring on them, and that's a hell lot of a cigar. I don't think you can buy them anywhere except Damo might have some.
We've sold out in the business, but I do have a partial box of my own that I'm slowly working through.
I think did I end up with a few in my last batch?
I think you ended up with the 2006 Connecticut ones.
That's right. Yes, because personally I did prefer those a little bit more. Yes, that's right. But
that being said, it is still the only cigar that we've had come through Cigar Professor that has had genuine, not mold, actual plume.
Actual plume. Yep.
Yeah.
It was like tiny little salt crystals that sparkled like glitter. On the wrapper, and that was amazing.
Absolutely.
Now, can I just say, for reference, for just how long we've been going, how long the Cigar Professor has been providing a forum for blokes who like cigars in Australia to kick around of a Friday night, or now a Wednesday night, but it used to be a Friday night. Cast your mind back into ancient history to when we had the showdown about what was mold and what was plume. I'm pretty sure this happened with our second ever pack, which we used to do 13 cigars in a pack, and they would last for 3 months. It was one a week. And our second ever pack, so our second block of 3 months, was a dedicated Cuban pack. And some of the cigars came with built-in mold, and you had issues with the suppliers, Damo. And they told you it was plume. Tell us the story.
So I got the cigars and started making up the packs, and then I got to some of the boxes of the Cohibas, and they had mold on them. And I rang up the supplier and said, we have an issue. We've got some mold on some of the cigars. And he said, send me a photo. And he said, no, that's plume. And I said, no, it's not plume. It is mold. Anyway, he didn't believe me, so me being the science-based person that I am, and having dealt with reputable labs for food safety testing, I rang around the country until I found a NATA accredited laboratory that could test not only for mold, but test for the specific types of mold that occur on tobacco. Because what most people don't realize is when you send something off to a lab for testing, they actually have to have a pure sample of what they are testing for. So in science, it's basically called a comparative analysis. You actually have something that you know is what you're testing for, and then you test how much of that is in the substance that you're testing. And they did that, and they correctly identified the species of mold that were in it, and that it was mold because it grew on a petri dish. And then I got the certificate and sent it back to the Asia Pacific Habanos distributor, and they sort of had to eat their hat. They took the cigars back, refunded us with ones that they went through and found they weren't. And not only that, they actually changed the conditions of the warehouse that they actually store their cigars in as a direct result of that. They dropped the humidity from, I think, 69% down to 63 or 64% humidity to try and get that under control.
And the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is don't fuck with Professor Damo. Because if you tell him he's wrong, he will go and get receipts. Okay? That's the moral of the story.
On that retro, that sweetness is almost a little bit like a musk stick.
It's got muskiness.
Those pink musk sticks. But that is just an absolute beautiful sweet smoke.
This is lovely. Are you finding it's getting bolder as we go? I reckon it has picked up a little bit of boldness. Omar, I think you've won.
Yep, I just dropped mine.
Yeah, I lost my ash 2 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Damn it. Omar wins again.
Can't win every week.
Zach, welcome. Nice to have you in the chat. And yeah, lesson learned. Don't fuck with Professor Damo.
Nah.
Absolutely. Stephen Crow asks, Damo, do you remember which species of mold they were?
I am just having a look on my phone to see if I've still saved the certificate of analysis from the company. I don't delete things off my phone. Every time I buy a new phone, I have to buy a bigger one because I never delete anything. So
I am exactly the same. It all comes across. So Dan says, correct me if I have this wrong, but isn't real plume the crystallization of the tobacco resins? Well, resins or oils, yeah. So Mr. Stu said, this is my understanding is that it's oils crystallizing on the wrapper.
Yeah.
And it's sparkly. It's not soft. If it's soft and it kind of bunches a little bit as you wipe it, that is most definitely mold. Now, a little bit of mold on the outside of a cigar doesn't mean you have to throw it away. You can brush it off, but if you suspect that there's any mold inside the cigar, or it won't come off when you brush it, at that point, I'd be strongly suggesting you probably want to think twice about inhaling or bringing that into your mouth and your throat, and ultimately some of it will end up in your lungs. Probably not a great idea.
Not a great idea.
One of the things you can do is if there is mold on the foot of the cigar, you can actually get a cutter and cut off maybe about 1 centimeter and have a look. And if it's only just surface, you can cut that end bit off and then smoke it. I have had cigars. I check my cigars on a somewhat frequent basis, but every so often you'll find the one cigar that's decided to go a little bit moldy. If it's not in the foot and it all wipes off, just wipe it all off and smoke it. Whatever you do, if you do find a cigar in your collection that does have mold, separate it out. Do not leave it in there because you don't want mold spores building up and spreading to your other cigars. And that's also one of the reasons why, where possible, if my cigars have still got the cellophane on them when I receive them, I leave them in the cellophane because that it does two things. It contains any cigars that do go moldy so it doesn't contaminate your humidor, but also tobacco beetle are not very happy about eating through cellophane. They'll eat through cigars like there's no tomorrow, but once they've eaten through one cellophane wrapper, it sort of grinds them to a halt, and they really don't spread once they've eaten through one wrapper. So,
yeah. I did have someone say to me once, but if you just light the moldy cigar, you're cooking the mold, so it won't be a problem. And I made the point that, yes, but all of the unburnt mold all the way through anywhere else in the stick that you're inhaling the air through is going to be just fine. And you'll end up with those spores in your lungs.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Send it to Omar. If you get a moldy cigar that's just cactus, too far gone, send it to Omar, because I'm fairly sure that nothing can kill him.
We'll fix it up. Don't worry.
Nothing can kill him, but I'd love it if you tried.
How do you know I haven't tried?
Well, maybe you're proving that nothing can.
That's it. It's been a very pleasant smoke, isn't it?
Yeah. Beautiful, easy, good flavors. The flavors are definitely a little bit bolder now, but there's no hint of barnyard. It's still a very clean flavor profile, even as it has become a little bit bolder.
Very clean.
Good question from Dan. What humidity and temperature do you store your cigars at long term? Kind of depends on what you mean by long term. Damo can speak to this in more detail, but if you're thinking about like long term aging, you'd want to go a bit lower humidity, down towards 60, 61, 63% down that end. If you want to keep them, long term, but you want them ready to smoke, you might want to think about 65 or 69%, somewhere there. Stu here has chimed in. His humidor is set to 65%. That's a pretty good safe number. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what I use the Boveda packs, the same as what the Cigar Professor sends out. Damo, we send out 65%.
We do 65.
Yeah.
What I find is in depending on the weather conditions, the barometric pressure and the temperature, 65 is a nominal value. In summer and winter, it can go higher and lower depending on the weather conditions as well. The particular genus, the subgenus, I don't know, but it was Cladosporum, was the family of mold that was identified on it.
Yeah. Not friendly. When it comes to temperature, Dan, if you want to be super safe, keep them below 20. I wouldn't recommend getting them much colder than that, though. The one time I've had a lot of trouble with my cigars is when I put them in a cold location in the house that would probably have sat around the mid-teen degrees, maybe even a bit lower through winter. and I began to get tar buildup. I had a string of cigars, and I was getting tar coming out of the ends. It was happening on the Cigar Professor. I just had a string of shows where I was having to recut the mouth of the cigar. Excuse me, the cigar, because it was just getting these awful little tar moisture coming out of it. And once I moved the humidor to a different part of the house where it held a temperature more up around 20 degrees, that problem went away instantly. So there is such a thing as too cold. But if they were sitting up around 25 plus, that's where your risk of cigar beetle does become very real. So I would say 20 is a good temperature to aim for. A little bit lower, a little bit higher, it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
And for long-term storage, I mean, you can go colder, but what that also means is that you want to not have those cigars in your inventory that you're about to smoke or plan to smoke anytime soon. What you'd want to do is bring those cigars out to a warmer temperature and let them acclimatize for maybe a week or two at the 20-degree mark to then smoke them. There are some people around the world who are experimenting with really long-term aging of cigars down around 15 degrees and around about the 55 to 60% relative humidity to sort of get a really long, slow aging process going. But you've just got to realize that straight out of those conditions, they're not right to smoke. You've got to get them back to the normal, conditions. The rule of thumb is 70-70. That's 70 degrees relative humidity at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. If you stay below that, you're usually safe. Once you exceed either of those values is when you either get into tobacco beetle or mold issues.
Mold, yeah. Yeah, and it depends on how serious you want to be. For most of us, we just keep a small stock handy that are ready to smoke. So we keep them up around that 65 to 69 degree, percent relative humidity. Keep them around that 20 degrees. They're ready to grab out of the box. But yeah, if you want to get a bit more serious and start aging things long term, that's when you're going to start to need multiple different. I use Tupperware. You can have proper humidors. Mr. Stew's got an amazing electronic humidor, looks after his cigars beautifully. Not everyone's just rolling in cash and bathing in $100 bills the way that Mr. Stew is. So not all of us can do that, but actually airtight Tupperware containers, or just not, it doesn't have to be Tupperware brand, but just the ones you can get from the supermarket. If they've got that rubber ring, that seal, they're a pretty good way to store them, and just put them deep inside a cupboard somewhere in the house that doesn't fluctuate in the temperature too much.
Yeah. And that's the biggest killer of cigars is drying them out. So it's almost impossible to recover a cigar once it's fully dried out. If it hasn't fully dried out, you can recover it to a degree. But what happens is, as the moistures dry out of a cigar, it takes a lot of the essential oils out of the tobacco leaf as well. And that's what the smell, when you open the humidor and you get that beautiful smell, that's the oils that are in that tobacco that are evaporating off the cigars, that you get that beautiful humidor smell. But as you lose those oils, the cigars are also losing their ambience. So that's one of the tricks that I use, is when I've got a lot of Connecticut's, I like to mix my Connecticut's in amongst my Maduro cigars for long-term storage in airtight containers, because generally speaking, the lighter cigars don't age as well for a long period of time as a darker cigar because of the oil content in the tobacco leaf. But if you actually mix them up like I do, what you find is there's a cross-pollination that occurs. Some of the oils from the other cigars will infuse into the cigars adjoining it, and you actually end up with this beautiful flavor profile that will be unique to your humidor. And definitely, I've got the same cigar in 3 different humidors, and I can have 3 slightly different experiences with it because of that.
Yeah. And this is a very good suggestion that Damo has made before, and Dan has done. You take that Sistema box or Tupperware or whatever, and you put it into a non-running fridge. Someone's throwing out a fridge that doesn't work. A bar fridge is obviously perfect, doesn't take up as much room. You stick in containers on that. Obviously, that fridge is designed to keep the temperature inside it stable. The idea is that it runs and it keeps it cold, but if you just don't switch it on, it'll just keep that relatively stable. You put your Tupperware, your Tupperware or Sistema box inside of that, and you should get a nice stable temperature. Do we still have any of the electronic hygrometers Damo?
We do. We do. I've still got the ones with the screen, and I've also got the Wi-Fi ones that you have to use the app with. I have both because I do like having to be able to look in and see without having to open up and get the app. But the interesting thing is, actually, I think I've got to change the batteries. The Wi-Fi one actually connects to an online account. And then if you're running the app, you can be anywhere in the world, and it will actually allow you to check in from anywhere in the world and see what the humidity and temperature of those cigars are.
Does it have like a security alert? Omar is raiding your stash. Does it have that function?
No, but it does detect when when parameters are changed. So if you actually, I did have the alarm on it that if it drops below or above a certain temperature and humidity range, that alerts you. But the trouble was when I'd go and pack orders and be opening and closing the humidor to pack orders, it would keep sending me alarms to my phone because, you know, as you're opening and closing, those things do happen. It resettles down again, but it just got quite annoying to keep getting alarms while busy trying to pack orders. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's why, isn't that why the authorities put that ankle bracelet on Omar, was to make sure that we knew when he was trying to raid our humidors? Wasn't that, isn't that what that's for? I'm sure that's what that's for.
Yeah. It didn't work.
It hasn't changed a thing.
No, it hasn't changed a thing.
Yeah, Stephen Crow's nailed it on the head there with the Sistema.
Yeah. Good
brand.
And actually, Stephen, within our own business, we actually have it's not Sistema, but it's a similar sort of one that we get from Bunnings, the 72 litre. They're a storage container that's deemed water resistant or waterproof, IP65 or IP67 rated storage containers. And we use those with a 320 gram Bovita pack. They are so airtight that I am still running the original Bovita packs when we started the business from 2020.
Wow.
In them, still at least 50% moisture in those packs. I'm of the opinion, you know, I'm not going to let them go rock hard and dry, but they're not gritty or granular inside. They're still squishy liquid. So until they dry out a little.
So this is Daniel's setup. He just sent me a picture and I've got it here. So he's got some nice presentation boxes on top, but that's a non-functional bar fridge. Obviously don't switch it on. If you switch it on, you will destroy your cigars very quickly. But just, it's sitting there and he's got his little humidor in there with the gauge on it. And that sort of box within a box setup is just a really good way to keep it nice and stable. So that's, sorry.
Because you don't need a functioning fridge. If you actually look on Gumtree or Marketplace, you'll often find wine fridges getting thrown out for free.
Yeah.
Non-functioning wine fridge needs to be repaired free for anyone who wants to come and pick it up. And they've actually got timber shelving as well, which is phenomenal for stacking your cigars on and allowing the airflow and keeping the humidity even.
Now, gents, back to the cigar, and I know you're going to say it's user error. Is anyone else finding that it's trying to go out on them? I'm having to over smoke this because it keeps trying to go out.
That's a negative.
That's
a user error and a half.
Yeah. We all saw that coming. Okay. Tony's got the real question here. This is the important stuff. Tony, I appreciate you bringing us back on track. Look, for the last while, I've been humiliating myself by drinking fizzy bin juice. But I'm pleased to say you've come in the right week to ask that question because I actually have something much more interesting. This was actually given to me. It's so it tastes even better because I didn't have to pay for it. This is Spirit Thief. It's Tasmanian, and this is their French Oak Grenache. And according to the little sticker on it, it won gold at the New York World Wine and Spirits Competition in 2022. And I got to say, it tastes like it as well.
Cool.
Gentlemen, what are you drinking? Go on, show us your pissy girl drinks.
Well, I'm drinking black tea. You put me onto that. And tonight I also just felt like tonic water. So
it's got some coconut water.
And you have the hide to call me a girl. Gosh. I'd say look in the mirror, but I think it'd shatter.
Mike, shut up.
That's a good drop. I don't mind a bit of monkey shoulder. So my first time having monkey shoulder was in Perth. It was the same time I had my first Padron. I just bought one at random from a retailer there, and I bought the monkey shoulder to have with it. And boy, both went down very, very well. Melbourne tea and soda water. Who are you, and what have you done with Mr. Stew?
Melbourne tea. Now, is Melbourne tea the one that's got the vanilla in it as well? It's like an English breakfast tea with vanilla in it.
It just gets worse. It's flavored. Come on.
It's the soda water.
Yep, I am a little bit of a Padron fanboy as well.
Well, if time affords itself to me when I'm in the US, I'm actually going over to Miami to meet with Nick Damo.
Nice.
While I'm over there, and I've got a day and a half in Miami, so it's a very fleeting trip. But depending on how long and how quick my meeting with Nick and that goes, I will be in the little Cuba area. I'm hoping to perhaps call into the Padron HQ and maybe one other.
All right. If you do get to do an interview, I was thinking about this in between shows. I would really love to just get a really high level, like a simpleton's understanding of, as a grower and as a blender, or more as a grower, right? Because you're cultivating the crop and you've got what you've got. As a blender, they could be looking anywhere for whatever they've got in mind. As a grower, you've got what you've got. And so for these companies that make cigars out of their own product, how do they decide what goes into the premium versus the more sort of mass market cigars? What is it about a given tobacco? Can they tell when it comes off the plant, or do they have to wait until it's fermented for a while? Like what's the triaging process that a tobacco leaf goes through that determines what kind of product it ultimately ends up in? I'd be really curious to get a bit of insight into that.
Question. I have been watching quite a few factory tour videos that have been done with Perdomo and other interviews people have done with the Perdomo family over the years, because I don't want to ask questions that have already been asked. I want to ask questions that haven't been asked before. Yep. And that's definitely one I haven't encountered. One of the interesting things that I did see watching one of the factory tour videos last week was some of the tobacco that they use in their cigars. It's fermented for 60 months.
Yeah, wow. 5 years.
Every month they're restacking it, measuring the temperature, measuring the humidity, re-alterating. The inside goes to the out, the bottom goes to the top, top goes to the bottom, reshuffling it. And they're doing that every month for 60 months. Yeah. Like, that's just unbelievable. Like, you don't know what the end result's going to be for 5 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's insane.
But there must be a reason why they put those leaves into that process versus other leaves that go into other processes. And so that's what I'm really curious about, is that they've got these leaves coming off the plant. There's the obvious differences, the ones at the top that get more sun, the ones down the bottom that don't. Obviously there's the different types of tobacco, etc. That's all going to be obviously very well known and very well understood by the growers as well as anyone that's into their cigars. But fundamentally, two different leaves can come off two different plants from the exact same height. And one will go this way and one will go that way. And why? Yeah. What's the basis for that?
Yeah. Well, one of the great things that Nick Perdomo did when he started getting into the business, that he needed to get he's one of these guys that needs to fully understand everything people are doing under him. He doesn't like when something's going wrong or when something needs to be done, he likes to understand what and why. He needs to understand the whole process from cradle to grave. And so he's actually, like, he doesn't call himself a cigar roller, but he actually has been taught, and, he can do, an acceptable job of rolling a cigar. And he doesn't really call himself a blender, but he knows how to blend. So he's gone through every single process of it. And one of the things is that he's sort of, easing back in the reins in the business at the moment, and sort of training up his son Nicholas to be the heir to the throne when he retires. And he's actually making Nicholas go through that same process as well. He wants Nicholas to know, everything from harvesting the seed, growing the seedlings, planting it, fertilizing it, tilling the soil, right through, because he just sees that as being imperative, because so many people in the cigar industry don't have an appreciation of every step. And not every cigar business owns the farms, grows the tobacco, and goes to the end product. They contract other companies to manufacture for them. So
well, there's actually there's probably more brands like that than people realize. Things like Room 101 and Gurkha, etc., where kind of their whole thing is that they don't own the farms, which allows them to then get whatever tobacco from anywhere to create whatever it is that they've got in mind. And that yields its own wonderful results in various cigars that we've had over the journey on the Cigar Professor. But I don't know, I'm going to say it's a romance. There's a certain sort of romantic notion to these ones that grow their own tobacco and they're making the cigars from that tobacco. I don't know. I guess it's similar to a winery that, there are wineries or wine brands that just buy their grapes in, and there are others that grow their own. And there's just something really nice about that.
Well, this cigar we're smoking tonight, it's Aganorsa, is the tobacco growing company that grows the tobacco for this Warped cigar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Cruz, you want to be careful. Damo's pretty jealous, and you don't want to get him feeling like he's being threatened. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we have already established that he's not a man you want to cross.
Well, I am wearing my Perdomo hoodie and my Perdomo
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Absolutely.
I'm fairly sure that that's the only jacket and only shirt you own.
No, I've got my Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust shirt.
True, I have seen you in that. You're playing both sides of the field.
Now,
Yes.
didn't work quite well. He hasn't replied to his emails, numerous emails.
Have you tried love letters instead? Yeah, I got to say, mine's actually giving me some trouble. It keeps on almost going out on me, and then I have to over smoke it to bring it alive again. And it's gotten wonky a couple of times. I think this stem, I think I was right. There's been a stem running all the way down one side of it, and that's given me some grief all the way through.
Problems, user errors, whatever.
Whatever, man, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Little bit of a celery note on the finish of it now for me. Not in a like a harsh vegetative or a turning way, but just sort of just a subtle change there. A little bit of that freshness has come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more celery-like on the retro.
I mean, there was a while there you were having trouble getting smaller cigars. Has that kind of corrected itself again now? Have supplies kind of shored up?
Look, a little bit. It's actually one of the things I want to talk to Perdomo when I go over there. The Americans, look, I've dealt with the US on other business ventures that I'm in with my wife. And it's really interesting. You can have multiple phone calls, multiple emails with people in America. And I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem to get or understand your side of the equation in remote correspondence. But you go down and actually sit down with them and talk over a cup of coffee, sit down and have a meal with them and look at them face to face and chat with them and sort of, I guess, plead your case. Because one of the problems that I've usually had has been legislative compliance, not only with the cigar business, but with the other businesses that I'm involved in.
Yeah, supplements, etc. Yeah.
When you actually sit down and like you explain all this to them in email form and you talk to them over the phone, I think they sort of just go into a bit of an autopilot. So, oh yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yep, all right, thanks. We'll look into, yeah, whatever. See you later, and then nothing changes. You go over in person. You actually sit down, and I actually take, copies of the legislation. I take, actual samples of the packaging rules that we've got to follow, like actual sample, and this is in food, like food labeling or explosives, and because that's one of my other jobs, packaging and requirements. Take copies of the codes of practice and the rules and regulations with you, and like flick it open or drop it on the bring it out. It's like, see this 200 pages. This is what I've got to follow. Like to get your product into the country, and then they just sort of look at you like, oh, you never said it was that bad. Oh, we didn't realize it was like that, and then then you're actually able to get a bit more. Like you're not expecting them to play by our rules, but what you're expecting them to do is to help you with information or help you like apply the right paperwork or labeling to the packaging before it's shipped to you. Because it's been numerous times. Yeah, like us bringing in food products into the country with my wife's business. We've had shipments seized because the government says it doesn't comply with Australian requirements. It's like, but it wasn't made in Australia. It wasn't packaged in Australia. Yeah. And you end up having weeks and weeks of arguments with the government to release it into your custody just so you can then apply the labeling. And then you can't do anything with it until the inspector comes out at their own leisure, whenever they feel like it, to then inspect and go, oh, yeah, that's good. You can sell it now. And so, we try to say, well, we'll print the labels. We get the labels printed. We ship the labels over them. Just say, can you stick this on the boxes before they come here? Or sometimes we don't even get them to do that. We just put a pile of labels in there with a note on top. It says, please apply these before distribution. So when the inspectors inspect the box, they see the labels are there and go, yep, that's fine, and let it through.
Yeah, wow. Now, back to the cigar. Dan's got the comment that he's thinking that there's a bit of an aniseed note coming in.
Well, early on, I got a licorice note, which is definitely in that realm.
In that family.
That aniseed note has dropped off for me. I did mention that celery note. I was contemplating whether it was a little bit on the fennel side as well, which is in that realm of aniseed. But it wasn't quite there for me. It sort of had more of that that sort of fresh, slightly vegetative bitterness there to it for me. So,
I'm a lot further through the cigar. I would say that mine is more in that fennel range, quite clearly.
Where are you at, Omar?
I'm almost like you. I think it's very fennel seed.
Yeah,
that kind of thing with cedar still. I think cedar is the most predominant base note in the cigar. And it's a little bit drier now than what it was at the beginning as well.
Yeah. The
sweetness has definitely died down for me.
Yes, same here. When that vegetative note kicked up for me, the sweetness died down. I would say it's drier than what it was, but it is not like parching or cotton wool mouth by any means. It's still a very smoke.
No, it's still lovely, but it was markedly sweet early on, and now it's neutralized.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to just try giving mine a purge.
I purge quite regularly.
Yeah, look, I only purge usually about once or twice in a cigar most times, but just thought it might be worth giving it a purge and see what it is. So for those who aren't familiar with the concept of purging a cigar, that's when instead of drawing air through the cigar, you actually blow some air through the cigar and then let it sit for a little bit before you take your next puff on it. And the idea of that is to actually just sort of clear out some of those built-up smoke flavors that are in the cigar and just sort of revigorate the cherry. Sometimes when I'm getting a bad burn, that's a means by which I can correct the burn sometimes. But also, you know, if you're getting a few bad flavors, just blow a few puffs of air through it, let it sit for another 20 or 30 seconds, then take your next puff, and usually you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I see that the victim blaming continues here with Mr. Stew. I'm the victim here. Professor Damo went through the entire collection and carefully selected a cigar that had a vein running all the way up one side, specifically made sure that went to me so that I would get an uneven burn that I've had to correct multiple times. And therefore, yes, blame the victim, Stu. Why don't you? I mean, you know, hey, I'm the victim here.
Look, you caught me out. I mean, that's why I buggered up and sent out the wrong cigars, because I was too busy focused on trying to find the crappy ones to send to Topher.
Yeah, that's how it is.
I was too preoccupied. Where's the crappiest, awful, worst cigar I can find in these boxes to send to Topher? So
actually, what he's done is he's grabbed all of the extra the extra tobacco from the Leaf by Oscars and rolled me a completely different cigar and put a label on it. Just to really, really screw me over.
Funnily enough, you know, over the years we've had quite a few of those Leaf by Oscars, and the actual bundles of those are actually wrapped in a couple of leaves as well. And I've accumulated a few of those, and I actually got Whiskey Pete to roll some cigars for us with those, and Omar and I actually smoked them. They weren't as complex as you'd normally expect, obviously, because you've got limited tobacco, and obviously they're not using their premium tobacco leaf as packaging material. But at the end of the day, it was still quite a good smoke. So,
also keep in mind, there's normally 5 different types of tobacco in a cigar. There's, you know, they'll use one type in the wrapper, another in the binder, and then usually 3 different in the filler, and that's done to get that blend of body and structure and construction versus flavor and all the rest of it. So, yeah, all of that would be lost. But well,
we did manage to get a few different types of leaf in there, because the Maduro bundles were wrapped in a Maduro leaf, the Connecticut bundles were wrapped in Connecticut.
Okay.
And the Corojo and the forget what the other one is that we have, but yeah, they were in a different leaf again. So we did manage to get a little bit of variety there.
Well, here you go. Here's proof that it's not user error. Tony, who we know knows how to smoke a cigar, says he's having the same issues that you mentioned earlier, Toph, struggling to keep it alight, very tightly packed. Thanks, Tony. The check is in the mail. Thank you for bailing me out of that one and making it look like I'm not a complete muppet.
Now, interesting, since I bellowed that cigar, a little bit of that sweetness has come back. Not a vast amount, but just enough to know that it's just still hidden there somewhere.
I'm doing my best to get my best out of it, but this cigar has given me a lot more trouble than I'm used to. It is an unfortunate reality of cigars. We talk about this all the time. They are handmade. Every single one is different. And yeah, even with Cubans, you are much more likely to get construction issues. And there are some brands that are superb and construction issues are very, very rare. But with most brands, yeah, you're going to get a few along the way that are just going to have just something about the leaves in them or something about the way they were rolled or how tightly packed they were or something. You'll get a couple of issues. And yeah, it happens to the best of us.
I find it funny that you use the word "best of us" for yourself.
I was wondering if you were going to pick that up.
Yeah, just linguistically, you are fucked, and I don't know.
You know, I'm only here for my pretty face.
Yeah, clearly.
And occasional smoke.
Aniseed note now.
Boys, we got to know more about Dan Cruz. He need to introduce himself. Where is he
tell
from?
us a bit about yourself, Dan. Where are you from? What do you like? We know you like the what were we talking about before? Macanudos?
Yeah, he loves the Macanudos. Obviously, we love him to be a regular because there are not many people in this country who appreciate Cigar. It's a very exclusive and small niche.
It's a small club.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We would love for it to grow, but with the advertising laws the way they are at the moment in this country, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, not at all.
I keep. They obviously use AI bots. One of our suppliers out of the States, one of the large distributors, keeps sending me messages to my phone and also via email, saying, "Oh, we noticed you haven't, purchased many cigars for a while, and if you'd like us to consult with you with getting a display set up and how to best present your cigars for increasing sales and marketing consultancy stuff." I have had a few phone calls with my manager with them and said, you do, because the auto emails are listed as coming from your manager who manages your account.
Yeah.
And I do tell them, we're not allowed to display or advertise tobacco in Australia, but it just goes in one ear and straight out the other. Yeah. Well, if you need any help doing it, it's like, no, we're not allowed to do it. No. Oh, well, but if you
need help,
yeah.
Well, this is the thing. We don't sort of realize how overgoverned we are in so many areas, not just tobacco, until you travel somewhere else, and it can be quite shocking sometimes to just see the contrast. And with tobacco, the contrast is ridiculous. I'm sure you would have seen the news that just came out. I think it was earlier today. The Australian Tax Office are sending officers out with Victoria Police to raid places that they believe are selling illegal tobacco.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the money, as you've talked about before, Damo. It's all about the taxes and the tax laws and making sure they get their share.
Losing billions upon billions upon billions because of their own greed.
Yeah.
I just love the fact.
Admit they're wrong. They can only double down and keep doing the wrong thing.
All right, I'm going to put that down. It's unfortunate because that was a beautiful cigar until I ran into those problems, and the problems, unfortunately, were not temporary. They continued throughout the cigar, so that's unfortunate, but that happens. The situation is amazing, but I love the fact that they've given us an object lesson in the Laffer curve, and that's the tax principle. Developed by some guy named Laffer, I presume, where there is an optimal. If you're just looking at it from a tax revenue point of view, put aside the morality of taxes, to begin with. If you're just looking at it from a revenue point of view, if you tax something at 100%, if you tax all of someone's income, they'll stop working. They're not going to work, and therefore you get no tax from them. If you tax at 0%, well, obviously you'll get no tax revenue, but they'll make lots more money because they'll work because they get to keep their money. Somewhere in between those two numbers of 0% and 100%, you will get the optimum amount of tax revenue. And if you go above that number, your tax revenue will actually start to decline because the disincentive starts to cause people to not bother, to not try harder, to not do overtime and things like that in the case of income tax. Well, in the case of tobacco, the tax is running up, in the thousands of percent on the actual value of the product. What's our tobacco tax per kilo now? 2,500, 2,000.
So they add GST on top of a tax. So tobacco tax is one of the few taxes that they tax the tax. So when you factor in the GST and the customs duty on the tobacco tax as well, that's applied at the moment, we are currently paying, as of September 1, $2,580 something a kilo at the moment.
Yeah. And
when $2.58 per gram.
Yeah. Which is insane, and means that the cigars we sell here in Australia are more taxed than they are anything else, and the same with cigarettes, and that's why the black market has boomed. And that's why their revenue has fallen off a cliff. I think they're down about 14. No, I'm not going to say a number because I can't remember it reliably, but it's a huge proportion of their expected tobacco tax revenue has just vaporized in the last couple of years as they've kept increasing the excise. And even the Premier of New South Wales, to his credit, momentarily had some sense and actually said this has gone too far. And then obviously someone got to him because he's shut up about it since then.
Yeah. Well, someone really got to him because not only that, now what he's done is he's gone and increased the licensing costs for tobacconists, which I think it was a nominal sum, and I can't remember what it was. It was like $70 or something in that ballpark, $50 to $70 for a 3-year license. Now, and that license covered you as a business for all of your means of doing it. So, for instance, Woolworths would have had one tobacconist license for New South Wales that covered all of their stores. Yeah. Now, it's $1,100 per location. And that location includes if you have got an online store. If you've got more than one web domain that links to that, each of those have to be a separate license as well. Yeah. And on top of that, every person involved in the handling and the sales of the tobacco has to go through a federal police check. So there's another $60, $70 in police checks that have got to be done per person. Yeah. And they've said that they're doing that on the guys that, this will stamp out illegal tobacco. Well, the illegal tobacco isn't following any of the damn rules as it is and not paying the $70 licensing fee. Why the hell do you think they're going to now pay for a bloody police check and that? They're just going to keep doing what they're doing.
This is the insane thing with bureaucrats in this country. They do something, it backfires because almost everything the government does backfires, and then they say, the problem is we're not doing enough of it. We need to do more of the thing that's not working, and then it'll work. Yeah, madness. Yeah. Then you get an issue like this that Mr. Stu points out, where even selling tobacco memorabilia. The way the legislation's written, if you were to trade in classic motorsport photographs where Marlboro is on a race car, then you would actually have to be licensed. As far as I can read it now, the legislation literally covers anything that has a tobacco brand on it. You would have to become licensed to be able to deal in that.
And technically speaking, as a tobacconist, you're not allowed to display the branding of a product. You're not allowed to physically display the product. So technically speaking, if you have some old ads that, a poster, it showed cigarettes or cigars and has their logo, technically that is breach of the law. If they really wanted to push it, even though you're not selling it, it is illegal to display the logos, the branding, or the pictures of the product. Yeah. Like the legislation stipulates, one of the reasons we don't have a website is that they actually dictate the fonts and the colors and the size of the fonts that you're allowed to use and how you actually list the items on your website. So when you go to an Australian cigar or tobacco site, it literally has, whatever it might be, the name of the product and then maybe the size of the product, and that's it. You're not allowed to make any other description of the product because that might be deemed as trying to entice people into smoking.
So Dan hasn't answered our questions about who he is. So I've just Googled Dan Cruz because I'm genuinely curious, because if you have a look at this comment here, you'll see in blue just next to his name, Dan Cruz, there's a little TM trademark. So Dan Cruz is some sort of a trademark. And Dan, I don't know what you're into, but I've just found a Dan Cruz on LinkedIn. And look, I'm gonna share this. Dan, this is what happens. See, we're researchers. We get receipts. You don't want to get on our bad side. So I found a Dan Cruz on LinkedIn. I don't know if it's the right one, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway, because this particular Daniel Cruz is an intimacy coach and celestial companion. Now that sounds like a great way to make a living. So I don't know, Dan. I don't know. I'm not saying it's. I'm just asking questions here. Just asking questions.
Mate, look, having a cat in the logo, that's going to attract women, I'm sure.
Yeah. So intimacy coach and celestial companion, he's sitting there. Is that in front of a poker table? I'm not sure, but he's look, he looks all right. I don't know. I'd take his advice. That's for sure. There you go.
I don't think any advice can fix your problems, man. But yeah.
But I can try, all right? Damn it, I can try. Oh, dear. But yes, Dan, you're quite correct. YouTube is not fond of tobacco content. We're able to do what we do because it is tobacco. It's cigar education. Yeah. We're not promoting. We're not selling. Everything we do is just done through the Facebook page. We don't promote anything on the Facebook page, but that's where you can find us and you can talk to Professor Damo and put in orders and all that sort of stuff. But it's all just done through emails and the Facebook page. We don't have a choice. We can't do it any other way.
Yeah.
Tony reckons he's feeling the nicotine. He's checking in with David Lionhelm. He is our resident nicotine detector. David, how are you doing with the nicotine?
It'd be interesting also to see how David is enjoying this cigar.
Yeah, the flavor profiles, etc.
Topher can't feel the nicotine over the whiskey.
No.
Look, I don't know which one I'm feeling, but I like it. Well, Tasmania is certainly making a name for itself in the whiskey world. I don't remember which specific whiskey it was, but was it 2 years ago? They became the first a Tasmanian distillery. I think it was Lark became the first distillery outside of Scotland to actually get whiskey of the year, just to take out the worldwide gong. And these guys have won gold at the New York World Wine and Spirits competition. So, and that's a different distillery, Spirit Thief. So it seems like Tasmania are very much making a name for themselves.
They are, indeed.
All right, here is the answer from David. Quite a big nicotine hit, a nice stick, but got a bit harsh in the last third.
Dave, have you been bellowing it, or because it makes a huge difference after cleaning it out a little bit?
Yeah. A second cut can also help as well. I tend to try and be really minimal in my first cut, just specifically to try and leave myself the option of a second cut later on. Particularly sorry.
I must admit, since I got into the final third, I have found that my cigar has snugged up a little bit.
Yeah. I find a second cut, having the option of a second cut is invaluable, particularly if you do get a little bit of tar. It doesn't happen to me often these days, but it does still happen from time to time. And a second cut just cleans that up instantly.
I think one of the things I'm going to have difficulty with when I'm in America is not actually smoking all the cigars down to the same point that we do in Australia, but just to put it down and grab a cigar. So, and then I'm going to have the problem when I come back to Australia after 3 weeks of enjoying that, of actually having to remember that we've got to smoke them all the way down to the lip-burning nub because we can't afford to keep putting them down and leaving a third of a good cigar there.
Yeah, the Americans are like, final third. What do you mean? There is no final third.
I get down to about the band, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what we're all about, Dan. Enjoying cigars, but also just sharing the love and sharing the knowledge.
Absolutely. That's it.
Well, I'm still going on this cigar.
Yeah. No, enjoy it. Don't feel the need to rush. Mine was a different stick, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. Update from Dan. Mine has been quite sorry.
Well, we're looking at what, about an hour 20 so far, or almost an hour 20 on it.
Yeah,
you guys, I got probably an hour 15 out of mine.
Yep.
With all the issues, so that's still not bad.
Not bad at all.
Dan says mine's been quite smooth the whole way through and has had a perfect draw. I think Damo sent me the one he meant to keep for himself.
Oh no, Dan, you were the one that suggested that you wanted the warp cigar, so you had to get the best of the cream of the crop. So
that's the key, Dan. Come up with this. If you become the brains of the operation, you'll get the cream of the crop.
That's it.
What is October's cigar? Asks Stephen Crow.
Have you got the sheet there?
Well, I do, actually. Let me have a look at the lovely Cigar Professor letter. Thank you, Damo, for that. It is the Davidoff Winston Churchill Late Hour 4x38. So this is the baby of the pack. This is a beautiful stick, though.
It's a beautiful stick. Beautiful stick.
That'll be this one.
Yeah.
These are an absolutely gorgeous, probably sort of 40-minute smoke, 35, 40-minute smoke, filled with flavor, though. And if you haven't had a Churchill Late Hour before, I had my first one actually at a poker night that was put on by a friend. And it was hosted at a friend of the friend. I had never met them. And I got there and he brought out an array of the largest Tupperware containers, that you can sort of hold. And they were just chock-a-block full of cigars. And he said, take whatever you want, like just grab something. This is, all my special stuff is elsewhere. This is all just for you to grab. And I grabbed a Late Hour, and it was magnificent. It was truly, truly wonderful. So that's our stick for October, the Churchill Late Hour.
Late Hour.
Well, unfortunately, the October show, I will be on my flight back home. And I've been keeping a close eye. Qantas are supposed to have been upgrading all of their flights by November. Sorry. Oh.
Whose smoke alarm just went off?
It's not a smoke alarm. It just sounded like feedback on my computer.
Okay.
Next month's cigar, I will be, unfortunately, on the flight back home. Qantas are supposed to have upgraded all their flights by this coming month to have Wi-Fi, but for what reasons I do not understand, they have delayed upgrading all of their international flights, and at the moment the only international flights that have Wi-Fi are between here and New Zealand. So,
well, I'd like to say that we will miss you, but while the cat's away, we will play.
I think I'm all about done with this stick. I think.
Well, that is a beautiful cigar. If I had to make a choice, do I want another one of those based on what I had, which, as we know, was a little bit different, or do I want another Cloud Hopper? I would personally go for the Cloud Hopper because that is a particularly beautiful stick. It's not large, but it is a particularly good stick.
That was a good stick.
Did we pick the little one because Damo said we might be stuck with just Omar? He didn't want us to be stuck for too long. You were thinking of us, were you, Damo?
Yeah, he was.
No, I'll be here, everybody. It's okay. You won't be stuck with just Omar. Actually, let me check my calendar.
Oh,
I don't want to make promises I can't keep, but
that won't be the first and the last time, right? Oh shit.
If I can make it work, and I'm not sure that I can, if I can make it work, Daniel, do you want me to come over to your place and we'll do the Cigar Professor from there? All right. I've got another picture here that I'm gonna put on screen shortly.
How many rings truly in the cigar?
Well, that's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, no. You're right. You're right. That's a bad idea. Daniel, scratch that. Let's not do that. That's bad idea. Just got to. Just going to pull up another picture here. It'll take me a minute to get to, but I'm going to pull up another picture here and make everybody jealous. I mentioned a minute ago that one of our subscribers is absolutely rolling in stupid amounts of money. I believe he bathes in cash. That's why he smells so bad. He never actually has a real shower. He just rolls around in his gold bars and all that sort of stuff. However, Mr. Stu has sent me this little picture of his little setup. So that is a full height fridge sized electronic humidor that does, I don't know, it does everything. It's whiz bang, temperature, humidity, and what is that? Like an ozone thing. It's got all kinds of nonsense in it. What I do notice, though, Damo, is that it doesn't have a lot of cigars in it. So, sorry, Omar. Stu. That's who I'm talking to. Stu. You might need to beef up your collection there, because at the moment that kind of looks like a display model.
Yeah.
But still, nice setup.
Well, the way gold and silver's going at the moment, he won't be long.
Yeah.
And the good thing, Stu, is I am happy to accept payment in bullion.
Yeah, that's fair. He spent all the money on the humidor, no money left for cigars.
That's it.
Stu is trying to explain himself. He's saying, that's when I got it. Sure, mate, sure.
Well, I've been watching an awful lot of investment specialists, people that sort of specialize in investments in bullion and mining stocks for hedge funds and retirement funds and things like that. And the consensus is at the moment that silver is just going to start breaking out. We're in an interesting situation in the market in the world at the moment where I don't know if a lot of people are aware that there's certificates that you can buy for precious metals, and there's the actual precious metals themselves. Yeah. The certificate is like a promissory note, and it's coming to the realization that the number of promissory notes that have been issued that sort of forecast to be cashed in, starting to get cashed in, but the amount of silver to back those doesn't actually physically exist. And of course, when there's a lack of supply, it goes to the highest bidder. And there's a lot of essential things, particularly with the renewables world, with wind turbines, solar panels, EVs, all this sort of stuff, require copious amounts of silver. I think most of the big solar panels these days have almost an ounce of silver in them.
Yeah, right.
Once silver supply starts to dry up, a lot of these renewables are going to have to do two things: either become more expensive or stop being made, because without the silver, they can't do it.
Well, it can't come soon enough, because right here in my fingers is my entire precious metals collection. It's 2 entire ounces of silver. So if these could just go to $1 million an ounce, that'd be great. That would be really, really handy, guys, if we could just help that happen.
I like carrying silver around with me. I have some here as well. Got my couple of ounces of silver.
Yeah.
Got some tenth of an ounce silver coins as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like walking around with a couple of ounces of silver in my pocket. It feels nice. It makes me forget about what my bank account looks like. So that's always nice, you know.
Makes you feel like you got real money.
Yeah. Dan's got some good advice for Stu. If you get cloud hoppers, you'll need to move so that Tim Molesworth doesn't know where to find you. Sadly, Tim hasn't been a regular on the show more recently, and unfortunately, that means we just can't hang shit on him the way that we used to. It's a real shame.
Yeah, he sort of disappeared into the ether a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's having a hard time justifying the cost of our hobby at the moment. So I think it's become less of a priority for him.
That's understandable.
That is understandable.
Everything's becoming an expensive hobby these days. Not just cigars, alcohol, the lot.
Well, it's that thing that I say all the time in my videos. If one thing goes up in price, it's because that thing went up in price. But if everything goes up in price, it's because your money went down in value. And unfortunately, everything's going up in price at the moment. I wonder what that means. Yes. What a time to be alive, hey?
Indeed.
You know that old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times? It was not intended as a blessing. We live in interesting times, that is for sure.
Yes. Every month that goes by, the world becomes even more interesting.
Certainly does, but we're not a politics show, we're a cigar show, so we'll stay away from it.
Well,
you're going to spike that one, Damo, or is it started to turn on you?
No, it's just starting to turn on me. So I think might be it. The ash dropped, and as always, when the ash drops right at the very end, it sort of suddenly becomes a little bit harsh. But
yeah. I found mine got quite hot on the fingers as well, but I suspected that was a continuation of just the burn issues.
Yeah, it's not too hot, although the smoke coming through is just starting to get a little bit hot for me as well. So
yeah,
flavors. So I will call that. But that's a good hour and a half out of a Robusto size stick, which is pretty good going.
Yeah, it's pretty good going indeed.
If that was a Churchill, you could probably push it for 2.5 hours, I reckon.
Yeah, probably. Well, gentlemen, thank you for today. We know that next month's show is going to be amazing because Damo won't be there. So we can look forward to that. And we know it'll be even better because it'll be short, so we won't have to put up with Omar for as long. So next month is an unmissable cigar professor for all sorts of reasons. And let's look forward to that. But thank you all for the show. If anyone is interested, jump onto Facebook, go to the Cigar Professor page and send a message there. That is the best way to get in touch with Damo. From there, you'll end up with his email address and all the rest of it. You can do it that way going forward. But in terms of getting in touch through the Cigar Professor Facebook page. And welcome to the club. So we'll, without further ado, gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll call it a night.
All righty. Thank you.